Our children are not supposed to die before us. It goes against the natural order of life. But for some parents, including myself, that reality becomes our story. Today's guest is here to share her experience of losing a child and how she's navigating the overwhelming journey of her grief. Hello and welcome to this episode of A Gift for Grief. Today's episode is a deeply moving conversation with Nicola Marshall. Nicola shares the unimaginable loss of her son Lucas, who tragically died after falling from a balcony while they were on holiday. In the midst of devastating grief, Nicola has found a way to turn her pain into purpose, speaking openly through her TEDx talk and helping others navigate loss and healing. This is an emotional but incredibly powerful conversation about grief, love, resilience, and finding a way forward after the unthinkable. Welcome, Nicola.
Oh, thank you so much, Louise. It's such a pleasure to be here.
It's so lovely to meet you.
And you too.
Now, before we start, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
So, my name is Nicola Marshall and I'm a psychotherapeutic counsellor, hypnotherapist, and I support people with grief, loss and growth. And I'm also a TEDx speaker. And when I say grief, loss and growth, it's not just about the death of someone, it's the death of something. So it could be a marriage, a lifestyle, a home, children, even when they're leaving primary school into high school. And obviously the death of a loved one as well, because, it's important to understand that there is a way forward with it and you don't have to sit in your pain.
Loss does come in different shapes, doesn't it? But your loss is huge. Now, I connected with you after I watched your TEDx talk to invite you onto this podcast. I immediately felt that your story would resonate deeply with my listeners. So I've heard parts of your journey already, but for those listening today, would you feel comfortable sharing the events that led to your life-changing experience of grief?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important. And, the reason that I do the work that I do now is so that people can see that we all have stuff happen to us, and no matter how painful or bad or low you get, there's a way forward, and you just have to trust yourself and find that hope as well.
Yes. So you've come on this long journey after the death of your beautiful son, Lucas.
So we were on holiday in Spain. And we had an amazing time. And there was myself, Lucas, and his friend. And it was the last day of our holiday. The evening before, we'd had a great dinner out, really lovely evening. And Lucas sang at the beachfront because the day we got back off our holiday, he had an audition for Voice Kids.
Oh, wow.
So he sang 3 of his songs, like on the promenade, and belted them out to the universe, to the sea, and to whoever else was listening. So it was lovely. And he said to me as we were walking back that evening, Mom, I've had the most amazing holiday. I've had the best holiday of my life. And I said, really? So he said, yeah. And I said, well, you just had an amazing time with Dad in Thailand. And he said, yeah, but I just did what I wanted here. And he said, and it was just great. So that was, beautiful conversation. So, yeah. And the next morning we got up, bags were packed, our cases were packed. We went down for breakfast and he sang one of his songs at the cafe for the people that owned it, which was Love of My Life. He sang that by Queen. And then we went we went for a swim in the sea, which was really lovely. And then we went back to the apartment and I was making the 3 of us sandwiches. So myself, Lucas and his friend. Lucas and I were chatting in the kitchen. And then I said, can you just take the Hoover in the lounge? And he did. And as I came out of the kitchen, his friend came out of the bedroom, which was opposite the kitchen, and he looked, a little bit strange. And he just said to me, Lucas has gone over the balcony. And I didn't really know what he meant. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, yeah, Lucas has gone over the balcony. And I just looked at his face and I thought, what? And I ran to the balcony. And when I looked over, and we were on the 7th floor, and when I looked over, Lucas was on the floor. And I don't know how that happened. And one of the first things that I said was, Paul, why didn't you look after my son? Why didn't you look after Lucas? And Paul's my brother, who died when he was 29. But I always felt a presence around Lucas of Paul. Like when he was in his crib, I used to see the outline of my brother next to the crib, looking out for him. So anyway, I ran down the 7 flights of stairs because I didn't want to get caught in the lift. And then my son was there on the floor and he was basically fighting for his life.
Oh, Nicola, I just can't imagine, as a mother, to have your life, just in that moment, you're having a wonderful time on holiday, having a special time with your son. You don't see that coming. And I can't imagine what the immediate aftermath was like for you. And I presume the police were involved because of the circumstances.
Well, the apartment that we stayed in is Lucas's grandparents, and there was a lot of people there who owned, Spanish people who owned their apartments. So there's a lot of consultants and doctors. So there was people already round the pool. So when I looked over the balcony, there was already people round Lucas, and the apartment was right on the beach. So by the time I got down, there was paramedics already there. There was police, plainclothes and uniformed policemen. And I remember just saying, oh my God, Lucas, what have you done? What's happened? And I just saw, he was trying to breathe.
I'm so sorry, Nicola. Only share what you feel comfortable with, if that's okay.
I'm comfortable with it, but it's emotional and I'm okay with it. Okay. And it's grief. And I'm okay with all of that. So, there was just seemed to be a lot of people around Luke's, and he couldn't breathe. And I don't know. I don't know. I tried to stay calm because I knew that if I got excited and upset, it would disturb him, and I could see he was trying to breathe. So anyway, there's a lot of people around him, and then I remember a uniformed policeman. He told me, "We have to go to the apartment. We have to see the apartment." And I said, "I don't want to leave my son." And he said, "Nicola, you have to." So I said, quickly. And so we went back up to the apartment. And we walked in, and he could see the 3 suitcases packed with the 3 passports on top. And he could see in the kitchen the 3 sandwiches I was making. And everything was just left as it was. Yeah. And I remember him saying, "Oh, no, Nicola.
Oh.
I'm so sorry," like that. And I just gave him the keys, and I said, "I'm going." And I ran back down the stairs to be with my son. And everyone tried so hard to save him. And then they told me he died.
Oh.
But I already knew it because I felt it.
Yeah.
As well as seeing it. And I remember that sound that came out of my body. And the last time I heard that sound is when I told my mum my brother had died. And it's such a guttural, primal sound, scream. And I remember when I heard that sound from my mum, I thought, I never want to hear that again. And then the next time I heard it, it was from me. So, yeah. And then I just lay, because Lucas was by the side of the pool on the grass. And funnily enough, I have a photograph of him right in that position when he was 3, in that exact same place, which was, Anyway, I stayed with him, and the coroner came, and And it was a woman, and I remember her just looking at me, and she didn't know what to say, really. And she had to pronounce that he was definitely dead, which he was. But when I saw Lucas die, he died in front of me. And I remember watching his soul leave his body. I remember that.
So what did that look like, Nicola?
I just remember seeing like an essence leave him.
Wow.
Like a mist almost, but very, very clear, very pure, leave him. And then I lay with my son. I stayed by him. And I remember they put beach umbrellas around us. And I stayed with him until they came and took him away in a body bag. And I remember lifting his eyes up thinking, I'm never going to see those green eyes ever again.
And this is the day you're supposed to be going home.
2 hours later, we would have been in a cab going to the airport.
So how does this play out now? You've just witnessed this unimaginable event. You're in a foreign country with his friend. You had so much to contend with. What were those first few hours and days like?
To protect me. And I can remember that. It was like a bomb going off in my head, and my brain just closed down. And I understand now it completely did that to protect me.
It's a survival mechanism, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just the numbness. I phoned people. I sent an email even to the Voice kids saying that he wouldn't be there because he died. I don't know why or how I did that. But I had a friend who lived in Spain, and I contacted him, and we were out for dinner with him the day before, and he came immediately. So he was actually there as well when Lucas was fighting for his life. He got there very quickly. And I have a huge amount of guilt around Lucas's friend because he saw exactly what I saw, and I couldn't really be there for him. But he was getting taken care of. I remember seeing people, had him. And yeah. And I phoned people in England. Two of my friends flew out immediately. Everyone wanted to fly out, but I couldn't deal with everyone being there. And I'm trying to deal with what's happened. My father was already in Spain, but I'm estranged from my father. I don't have a relationship really. And he eventually came. I don't remember much about that. Yeah, and then we just went over to my friend's villa. We stayed in my friend's villa. They wanted just to get me out of the apartment as soon as they could, really, because I think they were afraid that I would jump off the balcony. And so we left and we went to my friend's villa. It was all very blurred, hazy. I don't remember much about it, obviously. I was in deep shock, trauma, was so deeply traumatised, and obviously grieving, trying to deal with what's just happened. So we went there. So my two friends came there.
So did you feel that you were well supported during this time?
Yes, by my friends. Yeah, and then my family and friends in the UK. So then I was just in the villa for I don't know, maybe 9 days or something like that, 10 days, trying to just be. I couldn't go out. For the first time in my life, I had a panic attack. I didn't know anything about what a panic attack was, so I had lots of those. My friend, Lisa, she organised people to come to the villa. She flew out from London. She's one of my oldest friends, and she organised, I remember, I think it was somebody came and did some energy work with me, some Reiki, because I'm a Reiki healer, so that. And so she did Reiki. I remember, I think there was someone who came and did a massage as well. And she stayed with me, and then she had to go, and the other friend was there, and my friend that owned the villa. And I tried to take my own life about 3 days, I think it was, after Lucas died in the villa, because I didn't see the point. He was my life, and he was a gift. I didn't know that I was going to have. He wasn't planned, so he was a gift. I was thinking about something as well, because when I gave birth to him, I'll never forget. He came out, and he was put on my chest, and I remember he just looked at me, and our eyes locked, and this bolt of electricity went all the way through my body. It was amazing, and that connection, was just there, and it was like there was just a knowing between the two of us.
So tell me about Lucas. What was he like?
Oh my goodness me. He was amazing. Beautiful, kind, caring, funny, talented, young man, polite. I taught him from a young age to always look people in the eyes when he spoke. When he would meet anyone new, he would shake their hands and introduce himself. And he would always ask about how you were. How are you today? What have you been up to? And he didn't like to see people unhappy. If any of his friends were unhappy or a bit sad, he'd try and make them laugh. And I had so many stories from his friends about that. After he died, a lot of the friends came and said, oh, he'd always make me laugh. He'd see me sad, and I remember when he was in primary school and there was a little girl, and Lucas used to win a lot of races. He was very sporty, so he'd always get a medal, on sports day. And this little girl, and she was crying, and he was like, what's wrong? What's wrong, Daisy? And she said, I'll never win a medal. And he said, yes, you will. She said, I'm going to win one for you. So the race that he did, he won the medal, and they went to put it on him, and he wouldn't let them put it on him, and he went straight to Daisy and he put the medal on her. And, if he saw younger children than him in the playground crying or upset, I remember that a young boy, again, I was told this later, he said, what's wrong? And the young boy said, I don't have any friends. He said, yeah, you have, you've got me. And, the boy was quite a few years younger than Lucas, but he just didn't like to see people in pain, I guess, or lonely. He'd been here many times before. I always felt I'd had many lifetimes with Lucas, I just didn't know that this lifetime was going to be so short. We were in Spain, and then we flew back to the UK, and I remember the funeral director saying to me they were dreading really seeing his body, because generally when bodies come back from abroad, he said they're not so great. But he said there wasn't a mark on him, and there wasn't. I was at the Manchester monastery, and I was talking to the owner, and she said to me about, I reminded her I was a friend of hers, and I knew we have mutual friends, and she said, oh yeah, I know your son died. I said, yeah. And I said, the funny thing is, when I ran through the apartment and looked down, I said to my brother, why the hell didn't you look after him? You're supposed to look after him. And she said to me very quickly, he did. He supported him. He carried him when he fell. He carried him down. And I said, and I stopped for a moment, and then I thought, actually, yeah, because by rights, it wouldn't have been a good scene because of the height that Lucas fell, and there wasn't a mark on it.
That's incredible, isn't it? Does that give you a little bit of comfort?
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely. And I've thought many times about that, because even when Lucas, was back home, and we put him in his, in the coffin, we put him in his rugby kit. He's a big rugby player. So his local team in Knutsford, we put the rugby kit on him, and a friend of mine had bought him brand new rugby boots, which she had asked, could he wear them as well? I was like, yeah. And I remember looking at him in the coffin and thinking, oh my goodness, it looked like he was about to wake up. You know, he could have opened his eyes and at any moment, because he was just perfect, you know.
It's hard to absorb and believe he's not really there.
But the funny, you know, again, you know, when he died and I said that his soul had left his body and I lay with him, talking to him, I was talking to him. And I knew, although it looked like Lucas, it wasn't him, because he died and his soul had already left.
Yeah.
So he was on to new and bigger and better things, you know, and I'm there in absolute pain and broken-hearted. And, you know, I think he was through the veil and doing whatever he was doing.
So, yeah, what do you miss most about him on a day-to-day basis?
Everything. I miss him singing.
Yeah.
I miss mum, mum, mum. You know, he'd always be mum, mum. I miss him joking. I miss his love, his laughter. I miss his friends all coming round to the house, cooking for him, you know, watching him play rugby, just watching him watching him becoming the man he was becoming. You know, and I think when someone you love dies, particularly a child, there's a huge loss, and because you know you miss the person they were becoming, as well as the person that they are.
So, Nicola, when Matthew died, my husband Bill went into organising mode and he contacted people. He did all the important stuff. But you're on your own. Did you do it on your own?
Oh, my goodness me, no. I couldn't. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even speak when Lucas died. I couldn't speak. I couldn't put a sentence together. I was in such pain. My whole body ached. My head ached. Everything. So I had an amazing tribe, my friends, my family. Yeah, everyone just got going. Yeah. I remember as well, a friend phoned and said, you know, someone's put something in the paper about this. This is in the paper, because it was international news. It was in all the papers. It was worldwide news. I had people contacting me when I look back now from all over the world. And anyway, a friend of mine said, you know, someone's put something in the newspaper, and she sent it to me. And I said, that person doesn't even know my son. She said, you've got to put something out. You know, you've got to make a statement, because this is worldwide news. And I didn't know why. So that's when we you know, I had to put a statement out about Lucas and about everything to stop, you know, people saying things. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad stuff, by the way, but I just didn't understand, and that person had not been in touch with me. So we put something out immediately. Well, it was my words, you know, there were my words eventually that came out. It was about my son, and it was horrific. What happened to me was horrific. It was so unexpected, and I was in deep shock, and I had people around me to protect me.
I'm glad to hear that you were well supported there. But what has grief actually felt like for you? How would you describe your experience?
That first year of grief, extremely lonely. I was a single parent, so I was living on just myself and Lucas in the house. And there was a lot of people there initially. And then 1-2 weeks after the burial, everyone gets on with their lives. Yes. Everyone gets on with their lives. And you're there left to pick up the pieces of your life. And still trying to, you know, my brain's still telling me that my son should be here, but actually he's not here. So my brain automatically kept going to, where's Lucas? Any sound by the front door, I'm looking, thinking he's going to walk in. So I think that first year was extremely difficult. It was very lonely, confusing. I was not in a good place at all. But I was determined to find something, do something. But I remember I went for therapy, maybe not long after Lucas died, maybe two months, maybe 3. And it was a terrible experience because she wasn't a specialist in grief.
I hear that a lot.
And basically she was looking over my shoulder, waiting for her next client to come in. And she gave me a A4 piece of paper with the grief journey on. And she said, it seems that you've kind of got your head around it. So there you go. And like, off you go. And I remember I was so angry. I was in an angry grief point then. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness me, once I get my head back, once I'm in a better place, I'm going to retrain myself. I am going to educate myself, and I'm going to become a therapist, because I do not want anyone else to go through what I've just been through.
So you weren't working as a hypnotherapist? And
no, I was in sales and marketing.
So this experience has completely changed your whole career path.
Everything.
As well as your life.
It's changed everything, because grief changes you, and grief changes everything. And I'm definitely not the person that I was before Lucas died. But, it's been... Grief to me has helped me or supported me to find me. I've really worked on myself. I've had a lot of therapy, and that has shown me how valuable therapy is. The people you expect to step up and be there for you, they don't. So I've allowed them to fall away, and I'm great with that. And the people that I least expected have stepped up, and they're the people that align with who I am now. So through my son dying, I have found my purpose. So definitely through my pain, I found my purpose. And that purpose is to support other people with their grief, but not just about the loss of someone, the loss of self. Because I'd lost myself even before Lucas died. I didn't know who I was. I really, it was a tricky childhood, and there was so much unresolved trauma that I've been able to deal with. But not only that, when Lucas died, I then started to grieve for my brother as well, because that grief came through because I had Lucas in the September, and then Paul died in the December. Okay. He took his own life. And I was a new mum, so I didn't really grieve for my brother. So then the grief for Paul came up then as well. So I was dealing with that.
So what did you find helped you the most after Lucas died? Is there one thing that stands out?
There was lots of little things. I mean, I did a lot of yoga. I did breath work. I walked in nature. I surrounded myself with the right people at the right time. Yeah. But I think definitely being in nature, connecting with nature, definitely the yoga was massive for me. Exercising, walking, and just being,
When you learn hypnotherapy, your grief counselling, coaching, NLP, when you learn these modalities, you learn a lot about yourself as well, don't you? They're self-help tools that you've got for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I couldn't believe it. Well, I basically trained in everything that supported me. Yeah. So, when I see clients, I use different modalities depending on where they are and what's going on in their lives. So, when people come to see me, I meet them where they are, and then I decide and sometimes we don't even, they may come to me for grief, the death of someone, but we don't even deal with that at the first session because we've got a whole other stuff to deal with before we even get there, which I love. And I absolutely, you know, I've had a lot of therapy. I've done so much work on myself, and I believe you have to go there first so that I can step up and be the best therapist I can be, the best support I can be for whoever it is in front of me. You have to do the work. And my goodness me, it's brutal. And it's taken me to the ground many times. But I'm 58, and so for the first time in 50 years, I have a meaningful relationship with myself.
And that's so important. But can I just say, you are not 58. But have you found any peace or closure?
Absolutely. You know, and the pain and here's the thing, with grief, you're going to get pain because grief is love. And if you love that person deeply, then you are going to grieve for that person so deeply. Yeah. But the suffering is optional.
I like that.
You don't have to suffer, you know, you have to figure it out. And I did suffer that first year.
Yeah.
I kept myself in that suffering. I replayed Lucas dying over and over again.
It's your mind trying to make sense of something that just doesn't make sense, isn't it?
And then it was after that first year, I was like, okay, right, Lucas isn't coming back. There's no way he can come back in his physical form. There's other things. He's left you little messages, little signs, things are there. You know, or I believe that when you die, that's not it. That's my belief. Yeah. I've seen too many things. And so that first year, I was like, okay, we need to get your brain back online. And you need to find your purpose. Yeah. Because you are not letting your son die in vain. And it's what my son would expect. He wouldn't expect me to be wallowing and sitting in the corner, banging my head, which I did many times.
I think you have to go through that, don't you?
Absolutely. You have to go through that pain and allow it to take you where it needs you to be. And each emotion deserves a space at your table because that emotion has earned that space. So, you know, it's like pull up a chair. Where are we today? And really allow all of those emotions to go through you. Because, you know, when you give those emotions the motion, that's when the healing really does start.
So in terms of grief, what does healing mean to you?
Healing to me means accepting that death is inevitable. And it happens to all of us. I didn't know that my son's life was going to be so short. I didn't know my time with him was going to be so short. But he taught me so much in the 12 years, almost 13, that he was here. He taught me unconditional love, which I'd never had. I'd never had that before. It makes me so emotional when I think about that, actually. He taught me joy in the simplest things.
And nobody can take that away from you.
Nobody. And I have so many memories, you know, I have so many beautiful memories of Lucas. And when we had Lucas's funeral, I did stand up and talk at the funeral and I said, you know, please, if you see me in the street, don't cross over. If you see me in the supermarket, don't hide behind the aisle. Come over to me and give me a hug because I'll probably need it. Yeah. And tell me something about Lucas that I might not know so that I can add that to my jewel box of memories. And that was so important to me.
People find that very difficult, don't they? I mean, I've had people crossing over the road, people hiding in the supermarkets. Yeah. Their intentions are good because people don't know what to say. They don't want to make it worse. Yeah. But it means a lot to us, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And you know what? A hug. Oh my goodness me. I'm a hugger. So I love hugs. And And just, you don't, but we live in a grief illiterate society and people really, they feel awkward. So you end up comforting them and trying to make them feel better. And it's really like, oh, whoa there, I'm the griever here. Yeah. So I think when you do see someone who is grieving the loss of a loved one, I think, you don't need to say anything. You just need to just be there and just say, I don't know what you're going through. Can I give you a hug? Or I'm here. Yeah. Or just say nothing. Because, everything's in the eyes. And so for me, just to hold someone's hand and to look them directly in the eyes, that was enough.
That's great advice. But what part of your experience do you wish people asked about more?
Well, I think the growth. Because I think it's really important that, grief is love, but there's growth within that. And there's no way round grief. There's only going through it. And I'll grieve for Lucas for the rest of my life. I remember initially that first year was so overwhelming. And it wasn't until I said, okay, you know what? You're going to have to just feel everything and go through it. So, grief changes. It changes you as a person, but it also changes, and it does get softer, I would say. You do start to gently grow around it. So you have to just let it take you where it needs you to be. But, I always think that, did Lucas get a choice to stay or to go? In those few moments, however long it was that he was there struggling. And I do believe that they get a choice, and the choice is like, well, if you stay, your mum's just going to be the way she is. Because I've had many lifetimes with Lucas. I definitely know that. Okay. I feel that. He hasn't always been my son. It's been in different incarnations. It may have been where he was my parent or a partner or something. But I've had many lifetimes with Lucas, and I'll have many more, I know he's going to be there eventually when I die. He'll be there waiting for me. I've seen that. So I'm great with all of that.
I just love your spiritual take on things because I resonate with what you're saying, and a lot of my listeners will love it. But there are people out there that will think,
she's a nutter. And that's okay, isn't it? Because it's their belief, and this is my belief, and I'm not imposing my belief on anyone. It's my belief, and there's things that I've seen growing up that have convinced me that when you die, that's not it. That is not it. And I do believe the veil is extremely thin at the moment. So it's easier for them to come through and leave us messages.
Are there triggers that still hit unexpectedly?
I'm wary of heights. So I don't, if I'm walking and I'm on a hill, I don't go to the edge of the hill or anything like that. And I'm also very aware when other people are, sort of like on the edge of a hill or something. Or if I go away and I'm on the balcony of the hotel or building, I'm very cautious. And it takes me a while just to go to the edge and, kind of look over. But heights.
And that's not something that you had before. It's just become
since Lucas died, because he fell off the seventh floor balcony.
What words of comfort could you share to help loosen or lighten other parents living through this unimaginable loss?
Grief is such a tough. It's it's really tough, grief. And it's an interesting question because I'm, on the way here, I'm hearing on the news there's been a lot of deaths this week with children in the reservoirs and lakes swimming with the cold water and everything. And I was thinking about those parents actually, and I was imagining what I would say to them. And I would say it's tough. It's not easy. But trust yourself. Don't fight the grief, because grief is love. And just allow the grief to flow through you and let it take you where it needs you to be, and be kind to yourself. Really be kind. Take care of yourself. Self-care is everything through this process. Everything. And so important.
That is such good advice, because it can be easy to suppress it and to push it down and to ignore those feelings. So what you're saying is allow those feelings to come to the surface,
Yeah.
because it needs to be felt
Yeah.
in order to move through you and to give you some sort of healing.
Absolutely. And I fought grief that first year every single day. I'd see it coming and I would fight with it. And it wasn't until I surrendered to it and just let it take me where it needed me to be and allowed it to flow through me, that's when the real healing began.
Yeah. And it is scary because you think, if I start, I might not be able to stop.
Yeah.
But you will.
You do.
Your body knows.
Yeah.
You need to allow it to happen.
And the body does keep the score. And that was, and I read that amazing book. Well, I didn't read it because I couldn't read that first year. I couldn't read. I'd look at the page of a book and the letters would bounce up and kind of hit me in the face. So I listened to a lot of audio books, and I listened to Bessel van der Kolk, The Body Keeps the Score.
Yeah.
And that was a brilliant book for me. One of the best books that I read that first year, because the body really does keep the score, and it remembers and it knows. And I know now that when I'm coming up to, it'll be 7 years this August since Lucas died, and I know coming up to that date that my body starts to ache.
Yeah.
My body starts to ache because my body remembers that something terrible happened 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So a couple of days before, I'm very mindful. I'm very aware, and I make sure that I don't have any clients booked in.
Yeah.
And I give myself space either side of that date. And I think that's really important, to give yourself the space and time to acknowledge, the day of your person's death.
Yeah. And that is a really good book, which I'll put the link in the notes for other people to check that out, because it was like a game changer for me.
Me too. It was amazing. And also David Kessler.
Yes.
David Kessler books were just
Yes.
medicine for my soul. And since then I've trained with David Kessler, and I'm a moderator on his website, on his platform.
So for people who don't know David Kessler, he lost a child, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And also he lost a parent in a traumatic circumstances. And so he's an amazing grief worker.
So check him out as well. I'll put his details in the show notes. Can you tell us a little bit about your grief cafe?
Oh, of course, my Meet and Grief Cafe, my baby. My tribe.
Ah, love it.
So, yes, I started Meet and Grief Cafe March 2022. And I just wanted to create a space where we could grieve the death of our loved ones, because I didn't really know how to do it. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, if I was doing it right, whatever. So I just put it out on my social media, on my Instagram and on my Facebook, that I was going to have a Meet and Grief Cafe, and anyone was welcome who are grieving the death of someone. Started at 7:00, and I just asked people to show up.
And where did you hold this?
I held it in Knutsford, where I live, and I asked, and a friend of mine said, you can use my space, my cafe. So that's what we did. So 7:00 came. And I thought, oh my goodness me, no one's going to come, and I'm going to have, it's just going to be me. Anyway, the door opened and 2 people walked in. One person walked in, and they all walked up and said, are you Nicola? I said, yes, welcome. Got them a drink, sat them down, and then more and more people came. I can't quite remember how many people we had, actually. I think it was maybe 12 people. I couldn't believe it.
That was the first one?
That was the first one.
Incredible.
And I just wanted to create a safe space where people could feel comfortable talking about their grief without having, the eye rolls or people saying, are you still grieving? Are you still doing that?
Yeah, are you not over it
You're
yet?
not over it.
Yeah.
And where they could just be themselves and be angry, cry, feel safe enough to cry, feel supported. I wanted a space where we could witness each other's grief.
Yes.
And and it was amazing. And it's gone from strength to strength. And there's some people who are still coming, and they were, one of the first people that walked through the door, and they're still coming. And some people have dropped away, and that's fine. They've got out of it what they need, and it's not for everyone. And there's laughter, there's tears, there's anger, but most of all, there's support. And we all witness each other's grief, and we meet each other where we are. I'm not there giving therapy. I'm just there. And it's peer-to-peer support. And I've asked, a lot of people have contacted me through my Instagram and asked about it, and on my website. So I am looking at possibly doing it online as well. And we do art. I make soups in the winter. And we have sandwiches in the summer, and people bake, and people bring cake and bread, and it's just a beautiful community, a gorgeous tribe. And one of the ladies who comes, she said it was her first time there actually, and she said there was another person, it was their first time as well, and she said it was so beautiful to watch. She said you were like a herd of elephants just all going around the person, not physically, but just energetically, and just holding them while they told their story.
Yes, yeah.
And I think for a griever, it's really important that you tell your story, you speak your truth about your grief, and you speak about your person.
Yes.
Because so many people, I love talking about Lucas. Lucas was such an important part of my life, and, I am here because of my son. I am doing what I now absolutely love because of my son.
Yes.
And I love talking about him.
And isn't it lovely to have a space where you are allowed to do that?
Absolutely.
There's such a healing energy about being in a room with other people who just get you because they have also had a significant loss of some sort. I think it's amazing. How often do you have?
We do it once a month, and it's face to face. We're all in person, and it is beautiful. We come in, and everyone just chucks in, and we all make teas, coffees, whatever. And it's just it is a tribe. It's our grief tribe, and people really look forward to coming and going. And we've got a little WhatsApp group. And we'll go on walks as well. And I bring potters in, and we do pottery and art as well. Because it's all it's so healing. It's a healing, beautiful, loving space.
I love that. I'm going to have to get up to Knutsford and come along.
I'd love that. I'd love that. And, everyone's journey through grief is so different.
Yeah.
It's so different. And it's just being with like-minded people who don't know exactly how you feel, but they can imagine really well because they know how they feel.
Well, you can talk about things in this tribe, in this grief tribe, that you probably can't talk about with your family and friends because they don't really get it as much as they want to be there for you. But these people in the grief tribe do, and you can say whatever you like, and nothing's going to shock them because they just get it.
And what's said in Meet and Grief Tribe stays in Meet and Grief Tribe, And I've got one of my tribe, my Meet and Griefers. He comes all the way from the Midlands every month. He shows up. He shows up. And it really is. It's a community. It
just goes to show there is a need for this type of support.
Absolutely. And just exactly like there is a need for grief support.
Yeah.
It's so important to acknowledge your grief and to just allow it to flow through you and not to push it down, not to hide it, but just to allow it all to flow.
Well, do you have any special ways to remember Lucas? Any family rituals?
I don't think so. Every day I remember Lucas. Every day, he's his pictures his frame pictures in my kitchen, and he's it's interesting because I don't live in the house. I've sold the house that I had with Lucas and I.
Yeah.
And I've downsized and got a smaller house because it's just me. And when anyone comes into my home, they say, "Oh, I can feel Lucas in here."
Yeah.
You know, he's very much with me. So I don't really have any rituals to remember him because every day I remember him.
It's still part of your life.
He's very much a part of my life. And, you know, when Lucas died, a part of my heart was, well, my whole heart was ripped out.
Yeah.
And I've, you know, gently put that back together. But there's always a piece missing. And that piece is always with my son.
Yes.
Always.
I love your spiritual energy, Nicola. I love that your mindset, how you're dealing with this. But what are your thoughts about the afterlife?
Oh, it's there's definitely when you die, that's not it. For me, I think, you know, because we are made of energy and you cannot kill energy.
Yeah.
And I do believe that it's like I said earlier, I think I've had many lifetimes with Lucas. Lucas was a very old soul. And some of the things that he said, he was so wise, you know.
Yeah.
And there was just a knowing between us. So, yeah, I definitely, and I've seen things and I've seen Lucas many times. I always think when I have a very vivid dream about Lucas,
Yeah.
he's there, he's come back.
I do
with me.
believe they can visit us in our dreams.
Yeah.
But can you tell us about some of the signs that you've had?
Well, yeah. I mean, I can even tell you about an experience I had when I went to get a regression with someone. And, of course, all my guides came in with me and my spirit tribe came in with me to protect me. And the person who was trying to put me under couldn't get me under. So then I said, okay, let me come back tomorrow. So I went back the following day. And the person tried to regress me, but I didn't regress. I went forward. And it was interesting because...
So this is a type of hypnotherapy when you talk about regression.
Yeah, you can get regression, so
Yeah.
you can go back and look at your past lives. But I didn't do that. And I went forward and I said to the person, I'm dying. I can feel that I'm dying. I said, and I'm scared. And then I said, no, I'm not. I'm okay with it. And I literally, my voice changed. I felt my body getting old. And I literally leaned forward. I remember it. And I could feel like I was this little lady, you know, sat in the chair. And the next thing, I felt myself going down. And then this beautiful, white, clear, pure light, love, energy came, and I felt myself lifted up. And I lifted up, and there was my son, my brother Paul, and my friend Adriana that died when she was 31, and my grandma, all my family that had since, you know, died. They were all there waiting for me. And there was so much love. It was amazing. It was so beautiful. I you know, and the light and the energy, and I just kept going up, up, up. And it was just gorgeous. And I felt myself traveling through space and time, and there was no time, and it was beautiful. And then I saw this long line, a snaking line of people, and when they saw me, they all bowed, and I was told, they are your ancestors.
This is fascinating.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh my gosh, I want to stay here. I love it here. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then next thing I came back.
So are you afraid of dying?
No, not at all.
But you can't go yet 'cause you've got a lot of work to do.
I've got a lot of work to do. In fact,
You've got a book to write.
I'm writing my book. I've got a lot of work to do. I've got a lot of people to support, which I love.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I work on Wednesdays. I go and work with domestic violence, sexual abuse and addiction. And those women are it's a women's charity I work with, and they are such an inspiration to me. Yeah. And to watch their growth, to watch them take their power back. And these are women that have had some terrible things happen to them, but to watch them take their power back and to step into their power. Oh my goodness, I love it.
I can see and feel how passionate you feel about it. And I'm so glad that you found this purpose for your life.
I really have,
Now, I know Lucas is still part of your life every day,
much.
and I'm sure you talk to him all of the time.
Yeah, he's so proud of me. I have had that message as well. Mum, I'm so proud of you. And can I say this one as well?
Of course you can.
I did have Lucas, he came to me and I said, what are you doing? Are you okay? Are you okay? And he said, Mum, I'm fine. He said, I help the children when they die. They don't know they've died. So I show them what to do. I help them and I show them what to do because they don't know. A lot of them don't know they've died because they died in war and different circumstances. So he said they don't realise. So I show them and I support them and help them and let them know what they can do, what they can't do. And he said, and I'm very busy, Mum. So I said, okay. He said, Mum, I've got to go now.
So he was an earth angel while he was here for nearly 13 years, and now he's still an angel.
Yeah. And, and that's so Lucas. That is so Lucas because he was so supportive of the children around him.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he was a pain in the bum at times as well, but he was very supportive of his peers.
Yeah. Well, if you could give Lucas a message now, what would you say?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, you know what? I say it every day. I love you. I love you and thank you. Thank you for choosing me to be your mum. And thank you for showing me what I can be and become. Because, it's taken the death of my son, a load of therapy, a lot of therapy, for me to really take off all the cloaks that I've wore over the years, to take off all the masks, to really stand it and to take back the power that I've given away over the years because I didn't feel good enough or I didn't think I could achieve things what I clearly was capable and am capable of achieving. I thought that I was less than, and I was made to feel, less than in different relationships. And now, I will never, ever dull my shine for anyone. I shine bright. And if I'm too bright for anyone, I throw them an imaginary pair of sunglasses and ask them to pop them on because I ain't dulling for anyone or anything. So, I want to thank my son for being the incredible being that he is and was on this earth, and for really supporting me in my journey now so that it's like I said earlier, I have a meaningful relationship with me. I like, love and respect myself.
Yeah.
It's taken a lot for me to get here and I'm super proud of myself. And it really does show me how valuable therapy is.
Yes.
And it is about finding the right therapist for you because we're not all, I don't feel I'm the right therapist for everyone. And it took me a long time to find the right therapist for me. And I have an amazing mentor as well. Amazing mentor.
So Lucas has been, such a massive part of your life, continues to be part of your life. It was a gift. It continues to be a gift. It's completely changed your life in so many positive ways.
Absolutely.
But you had to push through that pain.
Yes.
Had to feel it to heal it.
Yeah.
And it's an ongoing process.
Yes.
And Nicola, you are a beautiful person inside and out. And I'm so grateful that you've driven all the way down from Knutsford to be here today, and you've been a fabulous guest. How can people get in touch with you?
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I've really enjoyed myself, and I've loved the fact that, I love talking about Lucas. I love talking about Lucas. And, the reason I do the things that I do is so that people understand that, we all go through stuff, but you don't have to sit there in that pain. There is a way forward, and it's about finding the right support at the right time for you, and also for finding that hope and belief in yourself. Yeah. And so if anyone wants to get in touch with me, they can get in touch with me through my Instagram, nicolamarshall.griefandgrace, and also through my website, www.nicola-marshall.com.
That's fabulous. I will put the links in the comments.
Thank you.
So hopefully people will get in touch with you.
And also my TED Talk. Please put
I tell, honestly, everybody that's listening, you must watch Nicola's TED Talk because it's very, very inspiring. So thank you very much for being my guest today. I love your honesty, your courage, and for sharing Lucas with us all today. Grief is something none of us can truly prepare for, and yet conversations like this remind us how important it is to speak about loss openly, to make space for pain, for love, for memory, and for hope. Nicola's story is heartbreaking, but is also a testament to the strength of a mother's love and the resilience of the human spirit. I know this episode may have resonated deeply with many of you listening today, especially anyone navigating the loss of a child. Please remember you are not alone. Grief can feel isolating, but connection and shared stories can be a lifeline. If you'd like to connect with Nicola, learn more about her work, her TEDx talk, or her grief cafe, all her details and links will be included in the show notes. So until next time, take gentle care of yourselves and each other. Thank you for listening to this episode of A Gift for Grief. If you found it comforting, please consider subscribing to my podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. Please also leave a review because it helps others to find the show. Together we can help each other become more grief literate. To learn more about my personal journey and my 2 books on grief, visit www.louisebates.co.uk. The music on this podcast was written and recorded by my son Matthew Bates and can be found on his 2 albums, Fight Back and Kaleidoscope. And finally, if you're struggling with grief or concerned about your mental health, please reach out to your doctor. You don't have to go through this alone. Until next time, be gentle with yourself and thank you for listening.